Silence.
seeks permission to approach the dice, much of which. For more credence to the Honorable Bench President, if it may please to address the bench collectively as your lordship, even though the council recognizes the gracious presence of the ladyship, but for the convenience of the oral proceedings, the council seeks permission to address the bench collectively as your lordships. Highly honored, your lordship. So here, your lordship, the present matter is between that the council is appealing on behalf of the appellants, your lordship, in the matters between Rashtric Movies and Creative Cinemas and Mr. X as an actor as the appellants versus the Union of Jammu and others as the respondents, your lordship, before the Honorable Supreme Court under the jurisdiction of Article 136, your lordship, whereas the Honorable Supreme Court has clubbed all these conditions and Honorable Supreme Court has clubbed all these petitions under Article 139A, transfer petitions, your lordship, which is put forth before this Honorable Supreme Court of Jammu. Centralism is not just a word, but a lived reality. Here, there are 80% of the majority sector, that is Vaidika sector, and 30% of the Yami sector, that is the minority sector, your lordship. That remains the secularism. There comes indifferences between these two sectors, which often relates to clashes between them. Furthermore, your lordship, a film named Rashtric Movies, where after 30 mandated edits, has proceeded for the certification, your lordship, has released for the certification. So here, thus this movie was being provided with the true matters, your lordship, which is being stated about the communal riot between these two communities, and which led to the murder case of a business consultant named Suresh Kumar. Furthermore, your lordship, secondly, that is the pan Jammu movie named Pavitra Topi, which was filmed by the Creative Cinemas, has been pending before the CBIC, your lordship, for the certification. On this, meanwhile, your lordship, the release of the trailer as well as the storyline has invoked a communal riot, your lordships and ladyship. So here, in this present matter, the Honorable before this Honorable Supreme Court, the appellant has approached for the agreed orders being passed by the High Court of both these Dharmapuri as well as the Rayapur, Your Lordship, as been stating that the Hinami sectors, who is the respondent here in this particular matter, has stated that this release of the film is invoking the religious provocation and thus has to be banned, Your Lordship. So here, agreed by the orders, the humble request of the appellant has proceeded before this Honorable Supreme Court, Your Lordship. If the bench is satisfied with the actual matrix of the case, the counsel seeks permission to proceed with the issues in hand, Your Lordships. Highly obliged, Your Lordship. So here, this counsel will be dealing with the first and third issue, Your Lordship. My co-counsel present over there will be dealing with the second issue, Your Lordship. Here the first and foremost issue is that whether the release of the movie violates the secular values of the Constitution of Jammu and Kashmir. So here, it is a humble submission from the appellants here is that, Your Lordship. First and foremost, the term secularism means that the state shall not prioritize any one particular religion and must treat each and every religion equally, Your Lordship, which is the affirmed in the case of Esther Romai versus Union of India, All India Reports 1993, 1994, 1980, SC 1918, Your Lordship. Furthermore, Your Lordship, the very core essence of secularism is making a harmonized and neutrality in the state, Your Lordship, rather than suppressing one's ideas, Your Lordship. But whereas in this present case, a posing of a ban on this both the films of Rashtriya movie and the Pavitra movie and ordering for extra ordering of cuts and edits has caused an infringement for the filmmakers, Your Lordship, in this present case. And furthermore, Your Lordship, here it is very much silent, Your Lordship. Here, as because the states under the more proposition is being very much silent that this storylines of the filmmakers of the Rashtriya movies as well as the creative cinemas Pavitra movie is being provoking a disharmony against the state, Your Lordship. So first and foremost, Your Lordship, I would secondly ask to submit before this honorable bench upon the certain principles has to be followed for considering the secular values, Your Lordship. So first and foremost in that is that
facts are saying that the film has created problems.
Indeed, yes, Your Lordship.
How do you say it's silent?
Indeed, Your Lordship. So here the Hinami sectors are only stating that there is a provocation being made from this film, Your Lordship. That is, nowhere the CPFC board has certified that is a communal guilt or public disorder has been posted from this particular film. And here it has mandated for.
It's not coming within the purview of what is India's step. They will only look at the film project and they will be giving the certificate whether the film can be screened and what certification can be done. They are not looking at the riots. That is not the duty of the certifying authority.
Indeed not, Your Lordship. So here, as per the Cinematography Act 1952, Section 5B states that Section 5B states the principles and guidelines must be followed before certifying of a film, Your Lordship. So here, a film shall be certified for a public exhibition, Your Lordship, if there is if any part of the film is contributing towards a violation or sovereignty of the state, Your Lordship, it can be curbed, Your Lordship, and refused for the certification. But whereas the CPFC has released the movie, Your Lordship, the rightful documents, and whereas the banned Dharmapuri movie is pending for the certification, Your Lordship. So here, these.
So re-release of post-release issue, according to that. After the release will be the problem.
Your Lordship, here, after the release of the trailer only the particular thing has happened, Your Lordship, but whereas.
The trailer was issued after the certification.
Pardon me, Your Lordship?
The trailer was issued before certification or after certification?
After certification, Your Lordship.
So after certification, when things have happened, would you think that it is beyond their powers?
It is not, Your Lordship, but here 30 mandated edits has been made made, Your Lordship, in the as per the film, as per the new proposition, page number 7, page number 25, Your Lordship. It is clearly stating that the CPFC has posted 30 mandated edits for the particular film. And whereas while there is a pending of this particular banned Dharmapuri movie. This respondent has approached this honorable court stating that it is provoking the religion. Here, there is not even a release of the movie itself is being made, Your Lordship. Merely based upon the speculation that the storyline itself is violating, they have approached this honorable court, Your Lordship. If I may proceed, Your Lordship, highly complete, Your Lordship. So here, as I previously stated, some certain secular principles has been followed, Your Lordship. So here, that amounts to first and foremost, it amounts to right equality of religions, Your Lordship, which is being enriched under the Article 14 of our Constitution, Your Lordship. Here, it states that all the religions must be treated equally, and here this particular factual matrix, it is not perfectly rights of the community of Islamic sectors as they are claiming, Your Lordship. Thus, it is being fulfilled. And secondly, Your Lordship, coming upon the non-discriminatory part, Your Lordship. So here, which is being also enriched in our honorable courts in various judgments, that is prohibiting discrimination against the certain religions, Your Lordship. So here, it has been stated under Article 15, Your Lordship. This is also being fulfilled, Your Lordship. And coming into the part of third part is that, Your Lordship, there must be a neutrality of the states should be followed, Your Lordship. So here it is the Jammu and Kashmir state government has followed all these procedures, and there is no such communal riots being posted, Your Lordship. So here thus it fulfills all these three conditions, Your Lordship. And furthermore, coming to the fourth condition is that freedom to consign is also being not infringed here, Your Lordship, as because under Article 25, it states that it gives the right to freely propagate, profess and practice the religions, Your Lordship. So here in this particular case, Your Lordship, following by the Rajdeep movies, is portraying of the environmental situation. So here thus it is inspired the movie, Your Lordship. So here that is not even posing any harm towards the particular sectors, Your Lordship, as it is not giving any defamatory statements against this Islamic sectors, Your Lordship. And the mood preposition is also very much clear that there is no such defamatory statements or scenes or particularly targeting of the Islamic sectors has been made, Your Lordship. And my second submission is that, Your Lordship, here the Islamic sectors have merely approached this honorable court with the mere allegations only, Your Lordship, of the spread that is mere speculations, Your Lordship, as because there is a spread in the social media due to the spread of a social spread of a line, Your Lordship, which is also being stated in our mood preposition, Your Lordship. Para number 7, Your Lordship, that is, even before the pending of the reports in CBSE, some of the storylines of the movie has spread in the social media, having us religious provocations against the Islamic sector, Your Lordship. Here it is a mere speculation being presented, Your Lordship. And furthermore, moving with the further contentions is that from the humble submissions from this appellate council is that, Your Lordship. So here there is no concrete base at all is being there for the Islamic sectors to approach this honorable court, as there is as this film has followed all the secular principles and does not violate any of the secular principles, Your Lordship. This itself fulfills the first issues, Your Lordship. And furthermore, Your Lordship, as a statutory authority, that is the CBSE, the Central Protocol Certification, has to look upon the matters whether this film is depicting upon any communal riots or public disorders or curbing of the sovereignty or integrity of the nations, Your Lordship. Thus, after doing all these, after following all these procedures and guidelines under Section 5 of the Cinematography, 5B of Cinematography Act 1952 only, this film of Rajdeep movies has been released, Your Lordship. So here, it itself implies that there is no such communal riots or public moralities or any of decencies or defamation statements being made against the particular sector, Your Lordship. And furthermore, the council would like to quote upon a precedent before this honorable court, Your Lordship. That is, in the Priya Singh versus Madhuranga Bandakar, 2017, SCC Online, Bombay 6742, Your Lordship. Here it has stated that the CBFC, the court has held that, Your Lordship, that the CBFC is being the ultimate authority to access the societal impacts of the films, Your Lordship, even though if there is any clashes or sentimental things has been provided to her, Your Lordship. So here it is the statutory body has to look into this particular matter, Your Lordship. And the third and final submission of this particular issue is that, Your Lordship, there must be a harmonious construction to be made in this particular matter, Your Lordship, as because the right to freedom of speech is merely a democratic right, Your Lordship, and as well as a principles under as well as the principles of secularism. If there as well as the principles of secularism, when there is a intersect between them, the constitution will not place one above the other, Your Lordship, but there is a harmonious construction has to be made, and in such a manner that there must be a
We are
balance.
talking about problem of harmonics.
Indeed, yes, Your Lordship.
Even before the research of freedom, the facts clearly say that there are lots of rights just because some statements are made. Okay?
Pardon, Your Lordship.
There are lots of lives. Why did the loss of life?
Indeed, Your Lordship. So here that was the issue pertaining towards both these sectors. That is the Seema Sharma being a political leader.
That was only taken up as a story in the film, right?
Yes, Your Lordship. But here it
For
is.
that statement itself, one life is lost. If this story is going to be portrayed, depicted, going to be displayed everywhere, don't you think there is the possibility of a lot of lives to be lost?
Indeed, not, Your Lordship.
Now you have this Article 21. What is Article 21?
Right to life and personal liberty, Your Lordship.
Article 25?
Freedom of right to freedom of speech, right to freedom of propagate, profess, and practice of
And
religion.
there's a contradiction between Article 21 and 25. Whether 21 will override 25 or 25 will override 25.
Here, that only the council is stating that your harmonious construction has to be
How
made.
will arrive this harmonious
Indeed, yes.
in this case?
Yes, Your Lordship. So here, coming into the context of the particular proposition, Your Lordship. So here there is, as Dharmapuri being a pluralistic society, though there is a majority of sector, that is 80% of IT sector and the 13% of the Hilami sector, which is only contributing towards the whole of the Dharmapuri, Your Lordship. And here, such a country following a pluralistic society, the religion must be protected, Your Lordship, which is also being enriched under Article 25, right to free, propagate, profess, and practice each one of the religion in such a manner, Your Lordship, that it does not violate the public disorder, Your Lordship. And furthermore, under Article 21, it is stating upon the right to life, Your Lordship. So here, if the religious right is being infringed, Your Lordship, automatically their right to dignity will also be infringed here, Your Lordship, as because one has the right to profess his own religion, but whereas curbing such a right to and violating his right would automatically curb his right to life, Your Lordship. So here, such a harmonious construction must be made in this particular matter, Your Lordship.
My religion is to kill others. Obviously, 21 comes over 25. State has a duty to stop it. Right?
I do apologize, Your Lordship, but here in the present matters, the Rajdeep movies as well as the planned Jambudvipa movie, that is the Pavitra movie, is being portrayed depicted over the true incidents only, Your Lordship. It is inspired.
For whom are you working?
Your Lordship, we are I am appealing for the Rajdeep movies and creative cinemas as well as the actor, Your Lordship.
Where do you come get the protection under 25? You are only asking protection under 19 plus 1.
Indeed, Your Lordship, but whereas that 19 plus 1 day will be dealt by my co-counsel in the second issue, Your Lordship, which is being put in the case, Your Lordship. And here, Your Lordship, here the assailants being in this particular
Let
matter.
the co-counsel come for 19 months. But you convince the court how you are getting protection under 25. You are filmmakers. You are making film. How do you get protection under 25?
Indeed, yes, Your Lordship. So here under Article 25, it is the right of both the sectors, Your Lordship, as well as the Vedic sector, as well as for the Islamic sector, to follow, propagate, profess, and religion, Your Lordship. So here under the as also with the certain restrictions, Your Lordship, that is only being put forth here, Your Lordship.
Are you giving any disclaimer that you are not connected with that story?
Indeed, yes, Your Lordship. So here the mood preposition, para number 6 itself is being clearly showing, Your Lordship. Now here it is, Your Lordship, here it is clearly showing that the movie stood as a bold canvas where the creators painted their truths, Your Lordship, and reminding everyone their art is which is being based on the inspired movie of that communal chaos and the murder case, Your Lordship. It is nothing to do with the communal harmony of that, infringing of the harmony of the Islamic sector, Your Lordship. And here in this particular matter, we are not claiming of the Article 25 here, Your Lordship, but rather posting that here this Article 25 is not being violated from the filmmakers, Your Lordship. Highly object, Your Lordship. So here, by stating that other furthermore case, Your Lordship, Sindaman Himself Baroda son versus the Mustafur Murthy Qureshi Jamshid and others, Your Lordship, which is being put for the perusal of the court, the judgment for the perusal of the court, Your Lordship. So here, it is stating about the looks at films and painting of the films must be in such a manner that the country has to apply with the tolerance, Your Lordship. So here, I would just conclude my submission for the first issue, Your Lordship, stating that moving upon a stay, putting a stay on this particular film infringes Article 21 of the filmmakers, the right to dignity, Your Lordship, and causes an irreversible loss for their production films, Your Lordship. If the bench is satisfied with the first issue, the council seeks permission to proceed with the third issue, Your Lordship, and the running out of time. Highly object, Your Lordship.
Violence takes up after the release. Is the responsibility by on the filmmaker or the state? How do you answer?
Highly object, Your Lordship. Here it would be forced upon both the persons, Your Lordship, as well as the filmmakers and the central, that is the state, that is the government, Your Lordship. But that is when there is a law and order situation, the state will only have to take actions against this, Your Lordship. And whereas the Cinematography Act itself clearly states, it is giving and here it is giving appeals for this, Your Lordships. For appeals and modifications can be made, Your Lordship. Under Section 5C, appeals can be made, and whereas under Section 6, it is stating about the modifications and refusals can be made if it is being permitted, Your Lordship, if it is infringing of certain rights, Your Lordship.
Responsibility is only in this case.
Indeed, yes, Your Lordship.
When you are indirectly applying process for rights.
Indeed not, Your Lordship. So here it is being an inspired movie, Your Lordship. It is has been depicted the artistic values of the particular filmmakers, Your Lordship. So here it is nothing to do with the particular community, Your Lordship. And furthermore, Your Lordship, my co-counsel will be dealing elaborately with that particular issue, Your Lordship. So here the third issue is that whether the judiciary has the authority to censor or restrict the contents of the movies is being as a humble submission from the academic council is that, Your Lordship. Here, the High Court has posted for arbitration and bans, Your Lordship. So here, this is being outrage. This is causing a judicial outrage in this particular matter, Your Lordship, as because CPFC being the statutory authority possesses the rights and regularities, Your Lordship, as well as, Your Lordship, as I previously stated, Section 5A of the Cinematography Act 1952, Your Lordship, states that, Your Lordship, which empowers the Central Board of the Film Certificate to grant certification further after reviewing all these pertinent matters of whether morality, public order, or defamation has been, and the sovereignty and integrity of the state are maintained or not, Your Lordship. And furthermore, Your Lordship, in the case of Union of India versus K. F. Shankarappa, 2001, 1 SCC 582, Your Lordship, which is put forth for the perusal of the courts, Your Lordship. Here in this particular case, Your Lordship, the Honorable Supreme Court has held that once an expert body has considered the impact of the film and impact of the film on the public and has cleared the film, then there is no such excuses can be stated, Your Lordship, under the law and other situations. And furthermore, hence it is the duty of the state government, Your Lordship, and as well as in the board proposition, the state government as in the para number 5, Your Lordship, in the last slides, the state has maintained the law and order situation as well, Your Lordship, as well as the assailants has been put forth for the trial procedures, Your Lordship. So here, Your Lordship, as the appellant counsel states itself, the statutory authority of CBFC is only having the authority to censor and arbitrate the content and not on the basis of judiciary, Your Lordship. Even though the judiciary is having the rights of judicial review, Your Lordship. Here, a judicial review can be considered on certain circumstances, Your Lordship, when there is a violation of a fundamental right and when there is a fundamental right violation, Your Lordship. But whereas the council has fulfilled in the first issue itself that the fundamental right is not being violated on the particular community, Your Lordship. And furthermore, Your Lordship, stating that the basic structure doctrine, Your Lordship, the council seeks permission 1 minute to conclude the arguments. Highly obliged, Your Lordship. So here in the particular matter, Your Lordship, the separations of power, doctrine of separations of power, which is certainly stated to be as a basic structure, is being curbed here, Your Lordship. Here, as because this separations of power ensures that the three organs, Your Lordship, that is the legislative, executive, and the judiciary, operates within their societal limits, Your Lordship, constitutional limits, Your Lordship, and avoids the encroachment of functioning of the other branches. But here in this present case, the intervention of the judiciary without any arbitrary, malafide or irrationality being posted by the courts is intervening here and violating the doctrine of separations of power, Your Lordship. And furthermore, the natural cause of natural justice here is also being violated. That is the Audi Acta pattern. That is, no one shall be convened unheard is also being violated here, Your Lordship, as because the filmmakers under the public body is not even given the chance to upgrade, Your Lordship. The council would humbly conclude my arguments in 30 seconds, Your Lordship. So here, the humble conclusion of this particular matter is that, Your Lordship, in the pluralistic society like the Jammu Vipa, here, Your Lordship, where the emotions and communities runs together within the band spread here under one umbrella, has to have the tolerance in them, Your Lordship, and really it is violating or merely stating that it is a narrow views of the expressions of artistic works is curbing on the communities, Your Lordship. It should not be upheld, Your Lordship. If the bench is satisfied, I would like to invite the Court Counsel, Your Lordship, for the further argument. Highly obliged, Your Lordship. It was honor reading before, Your Lordship.
Few questions. You are not explained whether your claim does not violate Article 18, surplus 2 of Article 18.
Indeed, yes, Your Lordship, that is dealt by the Court Counsel,
You
Your
are not
Lordship.
speaking about that.
Here, Your Lordship, Article 19, subclause 2 states about the reasonable restrictions being posted, Your
What are the
Lordship.
restrictions? Reasonable restrictions.
Say, Your Lordship, here the reasonable restrictions are has to be considered the legitimate aim of it and rationalities in this particular matter, Your Lordship, and there must be a reasonable nexus and a proportionality and necessity must be made here, Your Lordship. Here it will already be dealt by my co-counsel in the second issue is that as because the freedom of speech under Article 19 plus 1A and 1G is the particular issue of the second, that would be dealt by my co-counsel, Your Lordship, which is the second issue.
If CBS is a super body, then the score.
It is not, Your Lordship. Here it is merely a statutory body, Your Lordship. It is having the authority to censor the films and restrain the films, Your Lordship. But whereas the Honorable Court possesses the power of judicial review in this particular matter, Your Lordship, but it can also be upheld in certain circumstances only, Your Lordship, when there is an irrationality being presented or malafide intent is being presented, Your Lordship, such that the intent is not being presented in the present case, Your Lordship. So here the judicial review cannot be posted, Your Lordship.
Whether this court has no power to ban film.
Indeed not, Your Lordship. Here the judiciary it has to follow the separations of power, Your Lordship, as because the statutory authority is already having the power to examine, modify and arbitrate the movies, Your Lordship. But whereas judicial intervention before itself is causing the harm to Your Lordship. If the bench is satisfied, I invite a co-counsel, Your Lordship. It was honor pleading.
Recent decisions.
Pardon, Your Lordship?
Are you aware of any Supreme Court judgment which has given guidelines to CBS?
Regarding the same set of facts, Dharmapuri and the Supreme Court delivered a judgment, same set of facts.
तुम हमारा भारत case है, Your Lordship. It has been stated.
Council is not comfortable. You are quoting the old judgments. presentations 1 month before the same set of facts, Supreme Court delivered a judgment. Can I make a judgment?
Indeed, Your Lordship.
My name therefore Vice, legal vice. My name therefore Vice. This is one of my elders. Yeah. The same set of.
Indeed, Your Lordship.
Yes. Center orders 6 changes to move Udaipur to Supreme Court has to stay on release till Thursday. 6 changes have been ordered to be moved. Why not? Your film should be further subject to the censor.
Your Lordship, as a statutory body possesses the power, Your Lordship, as I stated, 5A and 5B is being fulfilled here, Your
That
Lordship.
is under control of CBSE. So Supreme Court is not supporting CBSE.
Indeed,
Does
yes,
they
sir.
have power or not?
Indeed, the judiciary possesses the power, Your Lordship. I would invite the court counsel for the further arguments.
Yes.
Highly object. Was honor reading. The counsel humbly seeks permission to oppose the podium. Which of them, Your Lordship? Both greetings to the Honorable Supreme Court of Dharmapuri. This is the counsel number 2 appearing on behalf of the appellant in the present matter, Your Lordships. And the counsel humbly seeks permission to address the bench collectively as the Lordships and individually as the Lordship and the leadership. Much obliged, Your Lordships. Your Lordships, the second issue, the matter of consent in the second issue is that whether the ban imposed on the film's release infringes the fundamental right guaranteed to the movie makers and the actor, Your Lordships. The counsel on behalf of the appellant most humbly submit that in the present matter, the ban imposed on the release of the film's Bollywood documents as well as copy of the movie infringes the fundamental rights guaranteed to the movie makers and actors under Article 19 Clause 1 Subclause A, which is the freedom of speech and expression, as well as Article 19 Clause 1 Subclause A, which is the freedom to practice any profession, to carry an occupation, trade and business, Your Lordships, as well as Article 21 of the Constitution, the present matter, Your Lordships.
Same liver is not access to the other group,
Pardon, Your Lordship.
other feelings. They are also possess the same liberty. You are only speaking about your liberty.
Much obliged, Your Lordship. Since in the present matter we as appellants are appearing, since our films have been banned by the respective High Court of Dharmapuri as well as the High Court of Bollywood, Your Lordships, that is why this particular matter is confined only to the movies of Bollywood documents as well as popular movie, Your Lordship. Much obliged, Your Lordships. Your Lordships, Article 19 Clause 1 Subclause A deals with the freedom of speech and expression. The term expression can be in any form. It can be in writing, through the newspapers, magazines, articles, etc. And it is inclusive of the artistic and creative expression by means of movies, Your Lordships. Additionally, cinematography is considered to be the strong medium of expression and it is thus attracted to protection under Article 19 Clause 1 Subclause A of the Constitution, which has been held in head-on cases, including S. Rangarajan versus P. Judicial and others, as cited 1989 Supreme Court cases, volume number 2, page 551, and till present, Apurva Arora versus State NCT of Delhi, cited 2024, All India Report of Supreme Court, page 77, Your Lordships. Your Lordships, in the present matter, the Council would like to enlighten certain facts before this honorable bench, Your Lordships. That is paragraph number 6 of page number 24. Your Lordships, firstly, the actual incident which is the foundation of all the litigation is the murder of Suraj Kumar, which was done by two assailants belonging to the Hilal sector, Your Lordships. Whereas this particular film of Bollywood documents has been there after 2 years of the incident, Your Lordships. Here exists a remoteness of what have already happened and what the film at present has been executed, Your Lordships. And secondly, the clarification number 2 is very clear that the movie Bollywood document is only inspired by the Suraj Kumar murder case, Your Lordships. It is not completely taken up from the Suraj Kumar murder case as well as it is not a documentary to read the particular case. Whereas it is only taken the inspiration from the Suraj Kumar murder murder case, Your Lordship, that has to be taken into consideration. And Your Lordship, thirdly, it is the Filament Welfare Association who strongly involves in the protest against the release of the films. And they themselves framed the allegation that the present movie has religious provocative in nature, and the more proposition is very clear. It is mere allegation of the Filament Welfare Association, Your Lordship. This has to be taken into consideration while guaranteeing the right to freedom of expression under Article 19 clause 5 subclause C of the Constitution, Your Lordships. Your Lordships, coming to the question of this honorable bench on the duty of the state to protect, the Honorable Supreme Court in previous litany of judgments has stated that it is the duty of the state to give protection to the public exhibition of the films, Your Lordships. Such judgments would include, Rangarajan versus P. Chandrika, and the council would now like to quote a very recent judgment, Your Lordships, that is Independent Creative Private Limited versus Government of West Bengal, 2019 Indian Supreme Court case 570, Your Lordships, which has very much clearly in the ratio decidency has mentioned that in the space reserved for the free exercise of speech and expression, the state cannot look askance when organized interest threaten the existence of such freedom, as well as the state is duty bound to ensure the prevalence of conditions in which the freedom ought to be exercised, Your Lordships, with the council like to summon before the court for the bench. Much obliged, Your Lordships, and thus at present, the ban of the film which has been proposed by the Filament Welfare Association as well as ordered by the High Court of Raipur in the film of Raipur document has been infringing the Article 19 clause 1 subclause C of the Constitution, Your Lordships. And Your Lordships, moving to the film of Pavitra movies, it is further dramatic in nature, Your Lordships, because more paragraph number 7 and 8 is very clear that the particular creative cinemas have submitted the application for the certification before the censor board. Independent of such a nature, just because of the quotation that certain movie line has been spread in social media, a religious provocation has been made by the Filament Welfare Association, Your Lordships. None of these scenes have been released, none of the dialogues have been released, none of the screenplay has been released. It's only a mere storyline that has been released, Your Lordships. That might be correct, that might not be correct, that might be much obliged, Your Lordship.
Story means it is not fact, it is not real.
Much obliged, Your Lordships. Even though it is real, the mood proposition.
The film is a story, not real.
Much obliged, Your Lordships. It depends on the particular film, Your Lordships. In the case of the document, it is a fictional line, it is not a real depiction. Whereas Pavitra movie is made in such a way that it is the clear depiction and true depiction of the particular actions in the particular country, Your Lordships. Your Lordships, here, even in the painting, just because of the release of the storyline, without knowing the entire film or entire context of the film, the Filament Welfare Association have claimed for the ban of the film. As well as the High Court have ordered, Your Lordships. Your Lordships, here, the appellant have claimed their right to be pre-screened, but even that pre-screening right has not been granted to the appellants before the Honorable High Court of Dharmapuri, Your Lordships. Much obliged, Your Lordship.
Council,
Much obliged, Your Lordship.
all your right, all your argument is coming from Article 19 clause 1 subclause. Right?
Yes, Your Lordship.
Article 19 clause 1 subclause A can be restricted by Article 19 clause 1.
Indeed, yes, Your Lordship.
19 clause 2 says for public order, whether it mentions public order,
Indeed, yes, Your Lordship.
for public order, 19 money can be restricted.
Much obliged, Your Lordships. When the council accepts in fact that Article 19 clause 1 subclause A is subjected to reasonable resolution and Article 19 clause 2 which includes various laws including the security of the country as well as the public order,
And
Your Lordship.
it's good as of now not bother about the public order.
Much obliged, Your Lordships. Even that restriction is subject to the test of reasonableness and proportionality, Your Lordships. That has also been held in Kirana cases. Specifically, the council would like to now quote the case of Chintaman Rao versus State of Madhya Pradesh, All India Report of 1951, Supreme Court 1818, Your Lordships, which has laid out certain tests of reasonableness, which could include the duration and extent of the restriction, as well as the circumstance on which such restriction is made, the nature of the right infringed, and the underlying purpose, as well as the extent, Your Lordships. When the present movies are concerned, Your Lordships, the duration and extent of the restriction in the case of Pavitra movie is permanent in nature, Your Lordships, which is completely apart from the test of reasonableness as laid out by the Honorable Court. As well as, even in the case of creative cinema, there is a temporary involved of the movie makers about this. And in our additional to the test of reasonableness, that's a lesson about it.
Coming on and talking about that.
That's a lesson about
This
it.
is specially against what of the High Court.
Yes, Your Lordship.
What is the High Court telling you?
Your Lordship, the High Court order in the case of prior to documents, a temporary stay as well as directed further readings, Your Lordship. In the case of
And you need to say High Court and Article 226 does not have the power to take a cue from Article 19 clause 2 with reference to the specific words from Article.
much of that, Your Lordship. Your Lordship, the council is not arguing on the fact that the Supreme Court is not entitled to exercise its power, but highlighting the fact of separation of power that exists, Your Lordship.
These are the power of Supreme Court. We come to the power of High Court. You are agreed with the power of the High Court and you are coming here. You want us to quash the orders of the High
Yes, Your
Court.
Lordship.
American under
Yes,
Article
Your
1.
Yes, Your Lordship.
So you have to prove how you have been agreed by the orders of the High Court. Tell us here.
Much of that, Your Lordship. Your Lordship, with that regard, the council accepts the fact that the High Court have the power. But such power can be invoked only when the fundamental rights have been violated or as other constitutional principles have been violated. The burden of proof would rely on the Filmmakers Welfare Association to that the particular certification granted to the film violates their fundamental rights.
Only violation or preventing violation.
Much of that, Your Lordship, the council also accepts to prevent the violation because present such a has been applied in the case of K. Abbas. But the
We are
entire
talking of preventing loss of lives.
much of that, Your Lordship.
Looking to preventing loss of lives.
Much of this, Your Lordship, the activity of the particular Filami assailants as well as the activity public disruption, public disorder made by
Clearly
the
say that the High Court has screened the film. Am I right?
in the case of random documents, Your Lordship, not in the case of
As an extraordinary act, judges of the High Court sat and looked at the film. So you are appealing for both the parties.
in the case, Your Lordship. In the case, Your Lordship.
So they have, the judges of the High Court are of the feeling that this can create a lot of public problem under Article 19 clause 2. So they are restricting your right under Article 19 clause 1 clause 8. What is the problem there?
Much of
Why
this,
you
Your
want
Lordship.
us to interfere with the High Court?
Much of this, Your Lordship. The underlying thing which was considered by the High Court on that circumstance is that the release of the movie could amount to the immediate trial of the particular accused of the murder case, which is two Filami assailants, Your Lordship. But the council on behalf of the appellants most of the comments, since the film is only inspired from the Suraj Kumar murder case, it could not have any true definition of what murder having caused. And Your Lordship, this Honorable Supreme Court, in the case of Manu Sharma versus State Entity of Delhi, has ruled against the media trial. This is because on that case, the media trial has been done by the newspapers, magazines, news articles about it. Whereas in the present matter, the Alpha document is concerned only within the film, which is fictional in nature, without the definition of true events about it. This is what the concern we have on against the order of the High Court, and that is the reason we are here appealing before the court, claiming for our right guaranteed under the Constitution, Your Lordships.
According to the facts.
Indeed, no, Your Lordship. Your Lordship, as far as the lawful document is concerned, the clarification is very much clear that the movie is only inspired, it is not the true event, Your Lordship. That is clarification number 2. Clarification number 2, Your Lordships. Much obliged, Your Lordships. So, in this regard, the present matter, the restriction failed to satisfy the test of reasonableness, Your Lordships. And while we come to the test of proportionality, the restrictive measures taken must be least restrictive in nature, Your Lordships. In the present matter, the ban of the film is not least restrictive. This is because the court could have ordered for any disclaimer as well in the case of Kerala films, or else provided any certification such as UA or A, Your Lordship, that could be considered as a least restrictive measure. But in the present matter, the ban of the film would amount to the excessive in nature and arbitrary in nature, Your Lordships. So thus, in the present matter, the restrictions imposed by the High Court does not satisfy the test of reasonableness as well as proportionality, Your Lordships, and hence the freedom and fundamental right guaranteed to the movie makers under Article 90, Clause 1, Subclause A has to be guaranteed, Your Lordships. Your Lordships, moving forward, the violation does not restrict itself to the freedom of speech and expression, whereas extend to the freedom of profession and trade, Your Lordships. Since the movie making involves production, distribution, exhibition of motion pictures, which are very legitimate in nature, and such a ban imposed on a particular detrimental effect over the brain, and it is very much relevant to the right of livelihood of the people who are involved in the particular film, who are entitled to the economic share and economic profit in the particular film, Your Lordship. That has to be taken into consideration in the present matter, Your Lordships. Your Lordships, in the present matter, not only the ban, as well as the additional edits prescribed by the High Court would involve sufficient amount of financial resources, Your Lordships, which would create burden upon the movie makers. That also has to be taken into consideration. And the Council, even in the present matter, accepts the fact that Article 19 Clause 1 Subclause A is subject to reasonable restriction under Article 19 Clause 6, which is the interest of general public, Your Lordships. But the entire vote proposition revolves around the riotous activities taken by the Hilami Welfare Association, Your Lordships. It is the one, they are the one, Hilami Welfare are the one who have initiated the entire process, and they are the one who are fighting for the ban, Your Lordships. And hence, here the fundamental right guaranteed to the movie makers has to be upheld in the present matter, Your Lordships. And Your Lordships, the next limb of the argument would depend upon the statement made by the movie actor, Your Lordships. This is because the High Court also proposed the state to take necessary measures in that regard of the statement made by the actor, Your Lordships. Your Lordships, paragraph number 8 of the moot proposition deals with that particular fact. Paragraph number 8 is clear that against the propaganda, a versatile renowned actor who acted in the film commented on the social media, Your Lordships, that the protest against the movie is unnecessary, as well as the movie depicts the two events, Your Lordships. Your Lordships, in the present matter, it is a mere statement of the actor who have acted in the particular film, agreed by the decision of the High Court, has made or agreed by the public disorder made by the philanthropic welfare sector, has made it's just a mere comment on social media, Your Lordships. It does not amount to any kind of incitement of offense, or it would not attract any civil as well as criminal liability as under Bharati Nyaya Sanhita 2020, Your Lordships. This is because the ultimate threshold for a crime is mentally and actors, Your Lordships. Here the actor does not hold any mentally or the malafide intention with himself to invoke any kind of offense, Your Lordships. Since already the Islamic sect people are involved in the religious propagation with the support of the political parties, Your Lordships. It is mere statement made by the actor, and he is entitled to such a statement as under Article 19 Clause 1 Subclause D of the Constitution, Your Lordships. That has to be granted to the actor in this particular relevant, and the particular activities as directed by the court to the state has to be abandoned in the present matter, Your Lordships. This is because if such thing happened, it would create chilling effect not only to the actor but also to the movie makers, Your Lordships. The movie makers who were very much willing to express their medium of artistic and creative sense would be suffering from indirect influence and indirect pressure. It would create a chilling effect over the movie makers, right? As well as such actor whose bona fide statement has been prosecuted in the present matter, Your Lordships. That has to be taken into consideration, and thus the fundamental right guaranteed to the movie makers as well as the actors under Article 19 Clause 1 Subclause A, Article 19 Clause 1 Subclause A, as well as Article 24 of the Constitution has been violated in the present matter, Your Lordships. And Your Lordships, much less, Your Lordship.
For the economic section, allegation is clear.
Indeed, yes, Your Lordship. But the moot proposition also says the same.
But fact of the case, Seema someone who is a politician, he was suspended by the party. Subsequently, so in outside the office, two person was what it's mere allegation.
Much obliged, Your Lordship. Your Lordship, this entire incident was revolved before the invocation of the film itself, Your Lordship. The release of the film has nothing to do with what the incident has already happened. And in the matter of the Seema Sharma, she is a politician. And she being a politician with collective responsibility has also been guaranteed with the right of freedom of speech and expression to express or to comment on any other leader. That is what happened in the second matter, Your Lordship. The Bihari sector who were provocated, who were assailants, who murdered the Suraj Kumar, Your Lordship. This is the incident before the release of the film. But when the release of the film is completely on a different storyline, Your Lordship, that has to be taken into consideration.
Such model cases pending by
Indeed, yes, Your Lordship.
whether it influenced the witnesses.
Indeed, no, Your Lordship. Your Lordship, this is because in the present matter, there will be no such possibility of the invocation of a media trial, Your Lordship. This is because this film is not based on a true depiction or a documentary to resemble what has already happened. but rather it is a film based on inspiration. The storyline could be any much, could be very different. Since the whole proposition remains silent on the fact, the council cannot be assumed that the particular silence or the particular murder will be placed in the same story, and hence it will not attract the defense of the media in the present matter as to the justification made by the Filami Welfare Association, Your Lordship.
Also, also told that you can answer two questions.
Yes, Your Lordship.
Whether 25 or 21, such is the question. And second one is whether 21 and 19 1 plus 1, not 8, 19 plus 1 are mutually exclusive.
Much obliged, Your Lordship. So, with regard to the question of which will override Article 21 or its Article 25, when the question is confined to the present matter, there is no violation of Article 25, Your Lordships, and there is a violation of Article 21 of the appellant's, Your Lordships, and there is no contradiction will be made. Or circumstance, when the respective Filami Welfare Association, the respondent, claim for their right to religion under Article 25, in such circumstances, Article 21 will be provided, Your Lordships, since Article 25 is subjected to the reasonable restriction of public order, Your Lordship, that has to be taken into consideration. And the court in several cases have approached the harmonious approach, Your Lordships. That harmonious approach is that directing the state to take necessary steps to prevent the public exhibition of the film, Your Lordships. And with regard to the second question, whether Article 19 1A and Article 21 is excluded.
Mutually exclusive.
Much obliged, Your Lordship. Your Lordship, the council would like to clarify the point on what is meant on the term exclusive, Your Lordship.
To Maneka Gandhi case, what does the court say?
Much obliged, Your Lordship. In the case of Maneka Gandhi, under Article 21 of the Constitution, the restriction which has been made under Article 21 could be just, fair and reasonable in nature, Your Lordship. That is what has been held in the case of Maneka Gandhi, Your Lordship.
Expression of freedom is freedom of speech is absolute right.
Indeed, no, Your Lordship. The council accepts the fact that the freedom of speech and expression, it is not absolute in nature. However, the restriction imposed in the present matter failed to satisfy the test of reasonableness as well as proportionality. The right of freedom has to be guaranteed to the movie makers, Your Lordship.
Why not you ban the film till they dispose of the sessions trial?
Much obliged, Your Lordship. With regard to the question, the delay of the film would also create and infringe the right of the movie makers, Your Lordship.
The film is a story about indicate the story about the two murders. It will be in the film show.
Indeed, Your Lordship.
Why not we can ban the film up to the end of the trial sessions trial?
Much obliged, Your Lordship. Your Lordship, the council is much obliged to clarify the present matter. Since the film is completely fictional in nature, it will not create any detrimental effect over the trial of the murderers before the court, Your Lordship. And such a delay in the ban would create a name against the release of the council. 2 more minutes permanently on. Much
After
obliged.
regulation, we have to lift the ban. Then further murders cannot be occurred.
Your Lordship, with the lift of the release of the ban, only the fundamental right guaranteed to the respective appellants will be guaranteed, Your Lordship.
That is the fundamental right.
Indeed, yes, Your Lordship. In that circumstances, it would be the liability of the state to protect the public order. It would be the liability of the state to protect the public exhibition of the film, Your Lordship, which has been held in taking of cases including as Nagarajan as well as Karnataka, Your Lordship. With the council like to submit over the order things. Your Lordship, in all these cases, when there exists such a conflict between a group of people who were opposing the film and between the movie makers' right of freedom of speech and expression, the freedom of speech and expression has been upheld since it is directly connected with the democracy of the country, which is an important feature of the Dharmapuri constitution as well as, Your Lordship. And the state is the one who has been vested with the right as well as power as well as the duty as well as the obligation to cut such a threat as well as mere apprehension happened in the circumstance, Your Lordship. If Your Lordship is convinced.
Very counsel, we are convinced, but there's a limitation, no? It is going to be limited public disorder, no problem. It is much beyond that, the state can't do anything. Right? So this court cannot be quiet when people are going to die in the road.
Much obliged, Your Lordship. Your Lordship, here the entire fact is very evident that it is the Filami Welfare sector people who were involved in such a right. It is the Filami Welfare people who are involved in the murder of the Suraj Kumar case, Your Lordship. Here, if such activities of the Filami sector would be upheld help, then it would amount to the ridiculous figure, Your Lordship, which is very much detrimental to the freedom guaranteed to a particular individual under the Constitution, Your Lordship. That is the reason why we claim for the uphold of the freedom of speech and expression which we do possess, and to direct the state to take the measures for the protection of the public exhibition of the films, Your Lordship. Much obliged, Your Lordship. If the Honorable Bench is convinced with the arguments and also three issues, the Council is permission to move forward with the hearing. Much obliged, Your Lordship. Therefore, in the light of issues facts stated, issues like arguments advanced and authority cited, the Council most humbly begs the Honorable Supreme Court of Dharmapuri be pleased to issue the writ of certiorari, partially impound order of the High Court of Dharmapuri as well as the High Court of Raipur regarding the ban on the release of the film, to uphold the appellant's fundamental right guaranteed under Article 19 Clause 1 Subclause Article 19 Clause 1 Subclause and Article 24 of the Constitution, and to declare that the judiciary shall not have any authority to censor or restrict the content once duly certified by the Central Board of Film Certification, and to direct the release of the films of Raipur documents and Pavitra movie and or pass any other order it may be in the interest of justice, equity and good conscience, for which the Council shall be duly bound. It gives an immense pleasure to all of you for the Honorable Bench, Your Lordship.
The Council seeks permission to close the voting. Lords, the people of India have solemnly resolved to constitute India as a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic, and secular to all its citizens, Lords. With the head of the preamble, the Council, appearing on behalf of Respondent, that is the Union of Jambadipa, Council would like to cite Jambo to the arguments with the next province. And also for the convenience of the document, the Council would like to address the legislative as follows.
Are you challenging the jurisdiction of the government?
In Lords. So, the Council would like to say one thing is that for 110 days not necessary, since Order 2123 of Supreme Court Rules of Practice 2013 is more than enough to petition under Article 136 of the Constitution of Jammu and Kashmir.
You mentioned that we may not.
Certainly not applies for inconvenience to much of us. So there are three issues: the valid dispute, and the Council will be dealing with the first issue, and rest of the issue will be dealt by the Co-Council in the further arguments. So the first issue is that whether the release of the movie violates the secular values of the Constitution of Jammu and Kashmir. So for this argument, the Council would like to deal with issues with the four fruitful links. The very first thing is that the state's duty to promote the secular values, and the second thing is that the fundamental rights are not absolute, and the third thing is that the fundamental duties that they are failed to perform, that is the production companies failed to perform, and the fourth thing is that Council would interpret by fruitful words. The very first thing is that, as I stated earlier, it is a state's duty. Every provision of the Constitution of Jammu and Kashmir starts with the restriction. For example, the bench was rightly cited the Article 25. It starts with the word subject to public order, morality, and decency, and health. So every provision of the article is subject to certain restriction laws. So with due restrictions on all the Constitution of Jammu and Kashmir, the state judiciary, that is the High Court of Jammu and Kashmir, acted in accordance with the provisions of Constitution of Jammu and Kashmir laws. So for the thing that the Council would like to rely on Article 38 of the Constitution of Jammu and Kashmir, where it is the duty of the state to promote the welfare of the people by securing and protecting as effectively as it may social order. Here, if the movie is being released, that is being inspired by the Suresh Kumar order case, sure it will lead to a communal provocation between two sects, that is the Vaidika sect and Hilani sect. And
Here it is a thing to be noted that the learned appellate counsel made the facts flexible for their arguments. First, they have stated the facts is the movie is completely fictional one. Next, they have stated that the movie depicts the modern days of Suresh Kumar. And again, they are stating that it is a fictional movie. The learned appellate counsel has made the facts flexible towards their arguments to see the grievance from the Honorable Appellate Court of Jammu and Kashmir.
Before release the movie, how component conceptualize?
Parameters?
Before release the movie, how you come to the conclusion component conceptualize?
Well, the fact was clear that upon the release of the trailer, the people started provoking that that is a violation of their religious right. So that is a communal provocation made in the state of Rajput and also with respect to the Dharmapuri. The story name was spread in social media. Because it is to be noted that in the current era, we are not in the era of 1960s or 1970s. It will come in the newspaper, it will come in the channels, and we will know about it. We are in the era of social media, and there is a social media implemented rules. Over this social media, it is to be noted that each and every information is spreading very fast. Even the Supreme Court of Jammu is making an order. It has been spread within 5 minutes of making the order because. So social media is being a very vibrant medium, very fastest medium to spread information. Through that medium, the storyline has been spread while conflicts have been aroused. So the bench is satisfied the council will
Who has the duty to protect the law?
The state has the duty to protect law and order.
So you mean to say that you won't be able to protect law and order? Only if the film is being displayed, you mean to say that screen and display. You mean to say that law and order will be enforced. You won't have the capacity to protect the law and order.
Certainly not because as it is to be noted that the trial of assailants is being in the trial court. The release of the movie will adversely affect the trial in the trial court below. With the consideration to the conviction of the assailants or acquittal of the assailants, it is to be noted that the movie should not violate the free and fair trial process below. For that reason, that is also one reason that the High Court issued a ban on the movies.
No problem. You do protection. The fair trial will be taken care. Because you are saying that it will go into affect your right.
In
Who has to ensure protection for the fair trial? Who has to ensure protection?
State judicial.
State.
State members. State.
Protection is given by the state.
State.
So you are the state, right?
In the member of state.
Who is the protection?
To protect the fair trial process, we have issued an interim stay over the other documents because that was very clear that
Why
the
is it given by the High Court?
High Court.
When you ask for it, they give. Am I right?
When the Hinami Welfare Association asked, they gave
They
it.
give. Now you want the state to be vacated? No.
No, upon the trial on proceedings, the council don't want to vacate stay until the trial on proceedings because. And also, they should comply with the High Court's order with regard to the edits recommended by the High Court of Appeals.
Why can't we do importance to the right of freedom of speech and expression of the appellant and give an order to you to ensure that you have to ensure law and order because that is your duty. You have submitted that it is your duty. So why can't we give an order like that and close the matter?
If you remember, the council very clear about the question of the honorable bench, but it is to be noted that the learned appellate council held that free speech is being violated, free speech is being infringed, free speech is being
Who's free?
they have free
So you are arguing for that?
No, I have to for one thing, my lord, that as a bench held that it is to be promoted free speech, that is the state's duty. Also, they held that it is being infringed to our record. I would like to place a question. Whether when they commercial the film, my lords, they are only the intention of the film is to commercialize it. And the Supreme Court on Tuesday, my lords, just 2 days before, has held the matter of Ranjit Gautam and Halamadhya, Union of India, Honorable Justice Jomala Bakshi. She held that over the commercialization of the speech, it should not hurt the sentiments of the people, like citizens of the country. Here, the council would like to question them through the bench that why they don't commercialize this movie? the very intention to release the movies into commercial base. They have to make a profit. The production company has made certain investments in movie through after release of the movie.
Also, don't you think that right to commercialization is also protected by the law?
Indian because for the purpose the council cited order passed 2 days before on Tuesday in the matter of Ranveer Gautam on Honorable Justice held Johanna Bakshi held that over the commercialization of speech and over the commercialization of speech it should not hurt the sentiments of the citizens of Jammu and Kashmir. Here, by release of the movie, it is completely hurting the 13% of the people in the constitution of Jammu and Kashmir. And by making an Indian mistake and by making a ban on the cultural movie, it does not hurt the 80% of the people, which is the majority say. But comparing to the free expression of free speech and expression towards the individual member, it is if you look at the 13%. For example, there are 1 lakh people in this country, 13,000 people's right has been violated. Out of which we have the Appellate Council argued that it was completely based on Suresh Kumar murder case. Suresh Kumar made a statement. Seema Sharma was true on her statement. What Seema Sharma has made? She stated that Hinami, the name of Hinami sect, the legislative of Hinami sect is irrelevant and is regarding in the current times. It completely portrays that the leader of the Hinami sect is a liar. It completely explicitly portrays that the leader of the Hinami sect is being liar to match the 30% people of the 30% people is being discriminated because also it is the duty of the state that is not the state but only the high court because considering the duty of the state to not to discriminate any religion under Article 50 and not to maintain public order, morality and health under Article 25 and 26 and also consideration to the preamble and also consideration to the Article 38 that is the duty of the state judiciary made an interim stay and banned over movie videos. And the second is that as a state due respect to the fundamental duties and it is the fundamental duty of the Appellate Council to promote under Article 51A clause E clearly states that clearly says that it is the fundamental duty of an individual to secure to promote harmony and spirit of common brotherhood because but upon the release of the movie it completely hurts the continuity of the constitution as well as the preamble and also the common brotherhood among the citizens of Jammu and Kashmir. And we also would like to take emphasis of Acharya Maharishi case where in the case which is the judgment has been passed that the fundamental rights is always coexisting with the fundamental duties and fundamental rights should be respected to the state's duty to promote harmony and to promote welfare and social order and also because the consideration of the fundamental rights as stated or fundamental rights is being violated or fundamental rights is being infringed or fundamental rights is being broken. It is to be noted in the matter of Church of God Gospel in India versus KKRMC that the court held that on the true and proper consideration of the Article 19(1)(a) lies on the restriction 19 plus 4 of the Constitution of Jammu and Kashmir. And with more, I also like to move on to the third limit. The bench has any clarification regarding the arguments.
Long time this court has been given a lot of Indians, protecting Indians, protecting identity of Indians, some Indians. So, how do you legislate that say that this court we have to look at maintaining also? And this court has hold the hand of the state in protecting public order, Indians, just a secret.
With respect to this fundamental rights, it's just an introduction that the council has given to the first issue is the first issue is completely concerned with the second issue and third issue. And the council has to argue how to issues here. It is the duty of the council to argue the first issue. But concerning the council has made an introduction to the fundamental rights as stated. The fundamental rights issue will definitely go on to the second much appreciated. And also as
Sir, you have produced two citations, Acharya, Maharashtra and Chachapka. So, 90 and we have produced it. For your sake. Where are your proper fact against there are 6 censor board certificate the movie within 30 days.
Indian laws.
How it's difficult to release censor board statutory recording there.
Because it was already held in the Development Council that if we need, we can have to appeal to the if we have to appeal to the higher body. It is to be noted that the appellate authority has been abolished in 21 under Cinematography Act. And here, if there is any grievance with regard to certificate of censure code, we have to approach only the High Court in the state level. That is what the Graduate Association approached, out of which the High Court found that the High Court recommended further evidence. And merely only interim stay until the state situation falls under best development. If it is established with the council. So as it was writing over the bench in the matter of Udaipur files, the 3 connected matters, Maulana, Hashim Madani and the several connected matters, though the reputation has been dismissed. The Supreme Court held that there should be a stay on the movie and it should compare with section 6 of the Cinematography Act. If the council like to summon these same disputes. And also, a judgment order passed by the Supreme Court 43 days earlier in Masahat Khan versus CDFC. It is to be noted that now this Central Board of Film Certification is, though it is a statutory body, it is not the body's absolute right to provide the certificates. As the learned appellant counsel held that it is compliant with the section 5B of the Cinematography Act 1952. It is to be noted that it does not only have to comply with section 5B of the Cinematography Act 1952, but it also needed to be compliant with the 1991 guidelines. It states 19 conditions for the film certification methods. Out of which the 13th condition and 14th condition is being not satisfied with due respect to the guidance of 1991. High Court of Dharmapuri and High Court of Raipur has passed an interim stay over the movie of Raipur documents and ban on movie of Portugal movie respectively methods. The bench is being said, the council would like to some of my arguments and the cover of my comments. Or is there any clarification you can give? Much appreciated. And it is to be noted that in the as stated earlier in the Masahat Khan versus CBFC, the 3 fruitful doors that though the man was dealing over the secularism, the 3 fruitful doors were made. Our tradition teaches secular values. Our philosophy preaches the secular values, and our constitution of generally protects the secular values. That the secular values do not dilute values. There is a humble submission by the Respondent council before the honorable bench. The bench is being satisfied. Much appreciated. The council is highly pressured here before arguing with the bench. The council seeks permission to approach it as much appreciated. Warm greetings to the honorable bench. The council is appearing on behalf of the respondent and to deal with the second and third issue of Your Lordship, the second issue is whether the ban imposed on the film violates the fundamental freedoms guaranteed to the movie makers. Your Lordship, it is most humbly submitted before the bench. The move by the judicial to impose a ban on those films does not violate and it is not arbitrary action. Your Lordship, the move made by the judiciary is proportionate and is constitutionally mandated. Your Lordship, because under Article 19+1, it is a fundamental right. Freedom of expression is enshrined by our constitutional part text under part 3. Every citizen has a right to express his opinion to any medium. That doesn't mean a person can speak anything, anywhere, anytime. Reasonable restrictions under Article 19+1+2 can be imposed in the interest of public order, security of state, and when there is the speech has a capacity to incite the public offense. In that circumstances, a restriction can be imposed on such right. And Your Lordship, in applying this principle in our present case, the present rule which we are dealing clearly lies within this which will inflate, as it was argued in the letter of the appellate council, that there was not only a mere apprehension to the lordship, the issue is valid. The community tension is already happening. Public outrage has started. The release of movie will be like adding more fuel to the burning fire of action. So, a judiciary cannot be a mere spectator when such situations are being there. It is a duty of situation to protect the fundamental that under Article 19 class 1. It is also a duty of judiciary to protect the freedom and secure the communal harmony of action. Under that base only, the Supreme Court has stepped in, the High Court has stepped in and imposed a ban on those groups of action. And your lordship, before the learned appellate council has time and again cited that the freedom of expression of artists have been violated, your lordship. Your lordship, before going on with the concept, we must understand clearly what processes, what kind of speech, what nature of speeches will really come under the gambit of protection given under Article 19 class 1 and what will not come, your lordship. Now to substantiate that, the honorable bench, the council like to humbly submit the case of Shreya Sundar is a screen of India, your lordship. In that, your lordship, the honorable Supreme Court has laid down a clear framework regarding what are the components of freedom of speech and discussion, advocacy and incitement. A mere discussion or advocacy of any opinion, howsoever unpopular it may be, or howsoever contentious it may be, is still at the heart of Article 19 class 1. But when the crosses the stages of constitutional threshold limit, where it is a stage of incitement, where the speech or opinion has the potential to cross public outrage, then Article 19 class 2 steps in and said right can be specifically your lordship. And in our case, the film is not just discussion or comes under the gambit of protection of 19 class 1, because the film dramatizes and portrays a great incident which has happened 2 years before. 2 years before, an incident has happened. At that time, a large communal clash happened. The state has settled the situation, and now they have somewhat maintaining the status quo. Now, this bill has the potential to again engage the same issue, lordship, because the learned professional council, the appellate council itself has accepted that this movie is sufficient. That movie is an inspiration. Your lordship, the inspirational movie is not directly based on not solely upon what really happened to lordship. They have only taken the incident that has happened and they will dramatize it in a way. They will add some extra narratives and it will change the whole perspective of the film present and also appearing for a respondent to us. And Vinami and Local Association.
We appear for both. We appear for the state as well as the association.
In this case, the High Court usually they have made a petition for a banning your lordship, and since the appellant has may approach this honorable bench to ask to release the movie, now this respondent has been appealed on behalf of India.
You are speaking, we should know whether you are speaking to the Union of India or
is speaking on behalf of India because the tensions here has been providing communal tensions. So it is a national issue, so it larger lordship, but it was larger public interest lordship. So a ban has been imposed on the movie lordship.
where it is Union of
Indian lordship.
Who is the respondent in this case?
Lordship,
Who is the respondent? Union of India or state?
lordship, the state lordship, state lordship.
You are very good.
Indian lordship.
You are very good.
Lordship, since movie is from 2 states your lordship.
But the movie doesn't show to your Union of
Your lordship, it is from 2 states, your lordship. We are dealing with 2 different movies, your lordship. One is from the state of Rajasthan, other is from the state of Dharmapuri, your lordship.
But one will know.
Your lordship,
One will know your Union.
is a your lordship.
You have not mentioned that you are appearing for Union of
Your lordship, what is your not mentioned in the question? Your lordship, since the movie brings positive the perspective of incitement, your lordship, the movie can have potential to incite because as was argued by both the appellate council that the cinema is also comes under the freedom of expression, and the person can express his opinion to cinema. Just because your logic is cinema or medium of film cannot be equated with other forms of expression. Because your logic making some opinion in publications or writings or having a public speech will have a complete different potential when compared to cinema. Cinema has the mass potential to cater a larger audience. It has a very larger reach or object, and it has the very impact and influence and provoke strong emotions or object. And since because of this only, cinema has the potential to instill a good behavior as well as can incite the violence or object. Based on this very impulse, only a ban has been imposed to object. And similarly, object in Bobby or International versus Compulsive case, the honorable bench has recognized the nature of cinema rights. The appeal of the cinema will be living is completely different, will be different. And your lordship, with deep concern and more constantly, this council would like to submit that there has been a growing trend in this country that movies based only on Islamophobia. Only Islamophobia movies for the past decades have been countlessly made, your lordship. This is not the first incident. This repeated typecasting of people belonging to one community as a villains, as a terrorist, as an anti-nationalist is not a new phenomenon. There's new phenomenon, and there is a countless of movies that has been come again and again. Your lordship, the council would like to give the list of anti-Islamophobic movies that has been taken in the country. Your lordship, the problem here is since the people are a minority community, they are already facing stigmatization question. By time and again portraying them in a way, the identity of the religion or the people belonging to the community will be conflicted with terrorism, your lordship. And because of that, further convenience portraying them in a smart way as terrorists or anti-nationalists. Who was the one going to face the real world consequences, your lordship? Already. Complaint like even in page number 2, you can see, your lordship, the rise of stigmatization, keynotes I will give at page number 2, lordship, the stigmatization and communal violences that has been carried against a particular community, lordship, just because the whole identity itself being questioned, just because of what they hear or what they hear, just because they belong to a different faith, constantly attacks are being leveled upon them, your lordship. Even if you look upon the lordship, there is a movie called Surya Vanshika which was made, your lordship. The story of the movie was interpret it is very naturally happening, your lordship, but a lot coming from a natural being which is coming from one community as portrayed as in a negative sense, your lordship, and they are called as Love. And because of Love, nearly 22% attacks have been taken, your lordship, and the real world consequences and anti-religious convention act has been enacted nearly in 5 states, 11 states, your lordship. And similarly, your lordship, because of the food they consume, the Vedika state considers cows as an sacred, your lordship, and the people coming to the Islamic state, what that they consume them. That's because they are consumed in the name of cow vigilantism. Nearly 22% attacks have been inflicted upon them, your lordship. And similarly, your lordship, the disease of corona has also been linked to the
Hindu lordship, you can argue on constitutional. Hindu lordship.
Your lordship, the reason I was writing this arguments and statistics into this lordship, the Learned Apparent Council submitted that the Islamists are being protested, they are only creating situation because it should be seen from this perspective. It is because of this such a stigmatization which they have been facing all over. That is what made them to protest, your lordship. Because social scientists are time and again what is called as internalized stigma. When the people from a particular community has been repeatedly typecasted as terrorists or something against the nation, then they will begin to feel a social alienation, your lordship. And people from minority sect will view them with suspicion, and these people will become hostile and will feel the shame and fear, your lordship. Now, this cycle, this mentality, we should understand them, your lordship. That's what our convention, that's why we quoted this, your lordship. Because all this, they itself just say that this film is an narration and based on fiction. The problem with this fiction is, they pick up on incidents and give a one-sided narrative which ignores the whole history. That is what the sort of problem is of the world. And that is the reason the judiciary has imposed. The judiciary has not imposed the ban in arbitrary manner. The High Court has one-sided watched the film thoroughly. From start to end, only they watch, and even they insist article cuts, and after watching only, they feel that there is a possibility that this movie will increase the already burning issue. That's the reason the High Court ordered to ban the movie, Your Lordship. And similarly, Your Lordship, the act of respondents must be seen in the light of Article 21, Your Lordship, because under Article 21, the state's foremost duty, gives and judicial duty, not only lies in negativity, that does not interfere with the fundamental rights of the citizen. They also have a positive obligation under Article 21 to protect the citizens out of danger and comply rights and protect their property. Your Lordship, since already an outbreak is taking place, this film is based on a particular outbreak which happened 2 years. Now, there is a possibility that this will still instigate and will escalate the violence into a large scale. As a preventive measure, under the Constitution, judiciary has kept in under Article 21, they have imposed a ban on this movie. And Your Lordship, in the case of Begins Poonawalla versus Queen of India, page number 6, I have given it recommending Your Lordship. And in that case, Your Lordship,
once again, the same question. Under Article 21, High Court has given a ban. That's what you say. Your Lordship. Appellants in under Article 19, our rights are being influenced. Whom should we discuss more important?
Your Lordship, when a larger public interest is in question or in danger, then we should only give preference to that, Your Lordship, because they contended that their right to expression, artistic expression has been provided under Article 19. But that Article 19 cannot be weaponized and can be allowed with the film. And that we are going to create a chaos, Your Lordship, because that film itself is a problematic film, Your Lordship. Why, when this problem is very settled, why we are again taking up a fact which has been maintained, and you also consider it a documentary film or realistic film. It is a fictional film. In fictional film, the whole perspective will be changed, Your Lordship. And they cannot guarantee whether the appellant can give a guarantee that this movie will be received from the audiences all over this country in a safe way. Because sitting in a cosmopolitan city or watching movie,
Appellant's duty is not
that would be
it is appellant's right of commercialization, appellant's right to freedom of speech, appellant's right to freedom of trade and commerce. They are coming on those roads. Can we blink the eye for them just because we want to open the eye for you only on the ground of security of state?
when we are speaking about security of state, thousands of people's lives are already because your artistic, in the name of your artistic expression, we cannot sacrifice to the cost of lives of people. Already we have seen, we have seen what will be the cost of communal violence or communal hatred. That's why we question that the appellant cannot guarantee that we will be received everywhere similarly, because the perspective of people change. Still in this country, as a given the data, communal violence in lots of places are still there, and there is a possibility that this movie will deliver it in a more manner. That is the reason we are protecting their rights for action. It will be seen that and we can apply doctrine of proportionality test, because under doctrine of proportionality test, more conditions have been given by this honorable bench itself. In order to protect fundamental right, if more conditions are satisfied, then it can be allowed to action. In that, the first condition is there must be a legitimate aim. The legitimate aim has been satisfied here. Our legitimate aim is to prevent a communal disharmony. And there is a necessity here because the police of the help will possibly influence the already tensional areas. And we are having a necessity and after out of it. And we also finally there must be a balance in the we must balance whether the harm caused to the public is greater than the harm caused by curtailing individual right. If we apply the principle only by curtailing the individual freedom, we have the greater we have protected the public logic. From that,
Are you aware of the Madras High Court decision on the issue of this case?
Your Lordship, in the issue case, the Honorable High Court
has released the order to ban the movie when request for that thing. After certain cuts, the movie was released in Russia. In this case also, the Honorable High Court has watched the film all over. That as they felt that still the movie has a potential to incite a criminal violence only, they have banned the Russia. The third issue is whether judiciary have the authority to censor or restrict the content of the movies. It is most commonly submitted that certification of Central Board of Film is the sole authority which has been enacted by the Parliament. It is given to the to look upon certification of film. Just because CBFC is a legislative body doesn't mean the judiciary cannot have an intervention or final say. The decision made by CBFC, they are evaluated by the movie goes a reverse process through them. But still, if they feel the movie still has a potential to cause any violence, as still the movie doesn't satisfy the guidelines or conditions which is given under the act, then it is the role of judiciary to step in and the unethical situation of action. And in this case, it must be understood that the judiciary is the ultimate protector of constitutional action, and they have an inherent and wider power. When Article 19 class 2 or 21 is a question, when previous lives are at stake,
you don't agree to document separation of powers as
Doctrine of separation of powers is not covered in strict sense as of United States of America and other constitutional laws. We have doctrine of separation of powers. It doesn't mean we strictly followed here. Whenever, that's why we are having a concept of checks and balances. Whenever a body does its duty, it is a duty of judiciary to
whether the facts of this case come to the checks and balances. And check and which balance.
we do not election, we are just, they say that judiciary has violated the intervening legislative function election. What we are saying is the legislative body has situation is not out of the legislative election. Now judiciary cannot be a mere spectator and they should step in. And even as it was said by the core council that appellate body was there and there was not there and 2021 it was abolished. Now High Court has authority of action to check whether the movie can further to release or not. And based on that only we have acted able also. And similarly, your Lordship, the judiciary's temporary role in the restraining the release of film must not be misconstrued as an act of judicial censorship, your Lordship. It is an act of judicial activism, where the judiciary has a role to protect the people, your Lordship. And similarly, your Lordship, this is not the first time that judiciary has stepped in. There are a ton of cases and a ton of instances where films, even after passing certification to the CBFC, created certain chaos and came before judiciary, and judiciary had undermined every time their role establishing an order of action by either banning or releasing the film. To give some example, you take the case of banning movie election. That movie was certified by CBFC for release, but High Court stepped in and banned this film based on the terms of decency and morality election. This shows that judicial intervention, especially certification, is that cannot access insulation. The judiciary cannot step in election. And similarly, your Lordship, as it was quoted by the Honorable Judge itself that in the case of Usurupur, the High Court stepped in. High Court applied the ban in the case, your Lordship. The judiciary's role is well within the framework, your Lordship. We cannot question the judiciary intervention, your Lordship. The situation goes out of hand, and it is the judiciary, they have the role to protect the Lordship. And similarly, your Lordship, in the case of the film of Amale Bara, that is because a recent film, in that film also, they say that particular community woman was portrayed in a way that is against the film, your Lordship. And CB certified the film. But Supreme Court stepped in and altered the film, your Lordship. And it was later on released after that certain scenes only, your Lordship. Therefore, judiciary's role cannot be undermined here, your Lordship. Judiciary is the ultimate protector of constitution, and they have to perform the function of the particular person. And similarly, Lordship,
this is not the issue. Whether the judiciary is powerful or not is not the issue.
here, Lordship.
Here the question is whether competence, judiciary itself in many cases are recognized that we cannot be experts in education, we cannot be experts in medicine, we cannot be experts in scientific matters.
Indeed, Lordship.
Hundreds of judgments. Whether the judiciary, whether the High Court can be sitting over the film certifying authority,
Dear Lordship, this is in this case of Mayana, whether they are experts, whether the judges of the High Court are experts to take a decision on that.
Your Lordship,
And if you convince yes, we will go ahead with that. If you say no, they are not experts, then if you are not
Your Lordship,
convinced,
judiciary is the ultimate expertise in these kinds of matter, Your Lordship.
everything. They are experts in everything.
Indeed, Your Lordship, when a question of law, there is a violation of fundamental rights is involved, when it is upon judiciary to decide, Your Lordship. The movie, when it is about technical matters, then that can be very serious. Now, movie has crossed all the stage. It is at the incitement stage. Even common man by watching the film can get thrown. That's the reason the judiciary has to play and watch the whole film. And as such action does it back to going to the institution is happening here, Your Lordship. So judiciary's role here cannot be undermined, Your Lordship. Because after CBSE, the judiciary is the highest authority to proceed after, Your Lordship.
Excellent counsel, but our authority, to interfere, will have to not some people. Will have to come under certain conditions.
Your Lordship,
When all those conditions are satisfied in this case,
Your Lordship,
even there is violation of fundamental.
Your Lordship, through the movie, the trailer was released in Your Lordship. And when the trailer was released, the trailer itself was in a part of is going to convey, Your Lordship. Just based on the trailer itself, they have shown the community in a way that has happened their feelings, Your Lordship. That's the reason the community started to protest, Your Lordship. That is itself a strong reason. And as he said, that all the kinds of movies that has been in the past coming has affected the community, which has already faced stigmatization, Your Lordship. Based on after that fear only they started to protest. And considering all these situations only, the government is spiritual, Your Lordship. And that's the reason judiciary in that case has imposed a ban, Your Lordship. So imposing ban is justifiable in that case, Your Lordship.
The Supreme is also recognized principle under the judicial
Lordship, in this case, we cannot see it as a judicial president, Your Lordship. Rather, it has been seen as judicial application, Your Lordship. Because judiciary can step in when state missionary helps recognize they can make error, Your Lordship. CBS certificate approved, but the assessor say CBS decision of CBS is final, Your Lordship.
I don't understand the counsel. To say you are very good. CPS is what?
Your Lordship,
Who is CPS? Is it a private entity?
or the certificate is of government, Your Lordship. It comes under the government, Your Lordship.
So you are the creator of, right? You have got constitutional authority, legislative competency, made the legislation under the parliament, we have created it, and now you are saying they are taking mistake, you are doing better.
Your Lordship, the acquisition this was made by the appellate council, Your Lordship. They said the CBSE, the film is ready to can be publicly executed based on 30 years to CBSE.
Yes.
And what they said is, what they are saying is there, after High Court going to the communal decisions, High Court has again possible because after election was raised by the Economic Welfare Association. So what High Court thought was, once we should also go to the movie, then we can come to a conclusion. Now High Court watched these films and just the additional best and owing to the violence taking place, they imposed a ban to us. Now what they are contending is that CBSE best they are not challenging the lodge. They are only challenging the High Court or the lodge. That's what that's why state in the current order are saying what is happening to
The
us.
High Court order, because CBSE is their private certification.
CBSE also has a role on that because
It's private certification, they are asking for certification.
Indeed,
High Court has banned, they are challenging. Merit reason. Who CBSE, Union of India?
Lordship, you should segregate our convention clearly, Lordship. We are not against, we are not against, CBSE can make a decision, Lordship. But who is the appellate authority here? High Court judiciary. If any mistakes happen with the CBSE's authorization itself, then judiciary has to say, Lordship.
That's what you make an amendment to CBSE regulations and give more powers to your own appellate body.
Your Lordship,
Create an appellate mechanism.
Dear Lordship, we have already watched the appellate authority, Lordship, and the High Court judiciary taken the place of that, Dear Lordship. Now, High Court is in the role to adjudicate on that matter, Your Lordship.
whether the film can be released. So you are saying the CPSC has made a mistake. Indeed, Lordship. CPSC is done what they have done. So additional scrutiny has been previous one not very under the judicial Lordship. We are not undermining the role of CPSC. Additional more scrutiny is being done by the judiciary, taking account of all the peoples and all the rights in the situation. It is the external situation which has arisen here, is what the judiciary is taking your Lordship. Proceed. Your Lordship. And your Lordship, the act of judiciary must be seen in the light of doctrine of parents criteria, Lordship. Because under the doctrine of parents criteria, it is a constable immediate philosophy, Lordship, that minorities or people who are voiceless cannot protect their rights. The judiciary as a state can act as the protector of the rights, and they have the duty to protect the rights, Lordship. And in this case, the movie based on number of events will be released. It will not cross only individual person or individual person, single person Lordship. The entire community will be affected and larger fundamental right violations will happen. Therefore, in the case of Charan Lal Singh versus India, the Bhopal University case, the Honorable Supreme Court has recognized the role of judiciary as a parents criteria. That they have made reference to the Hindu anti-marriage family and asked how a Karta will be for Hindu anti-marriage family. That will be the role of judiciary and a situation of larger individual fundamental rights violations happen. The same analogy applies here because this film has the potential to trigger that. And a communal events happen, everyone, each and everyone cannot claim up the individual rights apply. A whole set of people's individual rights will be violated. This is a larger collective right. And your Lordship, we must be proof from the fact that Article 19 clause 1, which they as they said that cannot be exercised in isolation from our collective rights of people, your Lordship. When Article 21 is being violated here, that the right to life, liberty, and communal discovery is created, then what's the point in only upholding Article 19 clause 1 that the larger people's right has been enforced here? And similarly, your Lordship, another contention which I not want to submit is the trial is pending before the Honorable Bench, your Lordship, regarding the murder of Ajit Kumar case. Now they are making a prediction based on the real incident that they cannot come to a conclusion because as the matter is pending before the Honorable Judiciary, they have made a movie, they are not making a movie that they will dramatize the event in a way they exaggerate and will make you feel that the accused is guilty even before the Honorable Bench has the chance to pass judgment, your Lordship. It is a prematurely they are coming to a conclusion that the murder has happened in this world. It is not the fact, your Lordship, and this fights at the very root of Article 21 of right to fair trial, your Lordship. And your Lordship, and other criminal jurisprudence, presumption of innocence is a cardinal principle, your Lordship. And we cannot come to a conclusion before the judiciary has a role to pass judgment, your Lordship. Because he is guilty, he is not guilty unless proven, your Lordship. They are coming to a conclusion based on, it will create a situation where they come to a conclusion based on who itself, your Lordship. They are not the final arbiter, your Lordship, it is the judiciary, your Lordship. Your Lordship, therefore, the council would like to conclude the argument that under the doctrine of necessity, the measures undertaken by the judiciary it is that proportionate and constitutionally mandated, your Lordship, because the release of movie will have a direct impact on the character rights, public order, and legitimacy and judicial system itself. Therefore, the judiciary has acted in a fair way and nowhere the fundamental rights of the movie makers has been violated or violated, your Lordship. Lordship, with the which is satisfied with the arguments, the council will come out with the players, your Lordship. Much of the Lordship. Therefore, the rights of the arguments are once authority cited and judgments quoted. It is most humbly submitted before the Honorable Bench to dismiss the petition and to pass any order as the bench may believe which are satisfying the right of justice, equity, and constitutional values. For this act of fairness, the council is going to be going further. Much obliged.
The council takes permission to approve the minutes. Much obliged, Your Lordship. Ready to the Honorable Bench. The Lordships, the council want to clarify that the entire arguments made by the non-friend councils of the respondents were often contradictory in nature, were often baseless, since the entire argument was based precision as well as the clarification about this. The Lords, firstly, the Lords and Council of the Respondent have argued that there is a speculation that the particular film is based on the inspiration of the Suraj Kumar model case, for which the Council have already submitted the clarification number 2, which is very clear and evident that the movie is only inspired from the Suraj Kumar model case, the doctor, that has to be taken into consideration. And secondly, the Lords and Council of the Respondents have argued that the spread of storyline in social media is very fast and furious. In the gesture option, it is very fast and furious and capable of communicating also the false information, fake information as well as misinformation. That is why the reason the government has formed the fact-checking unit about this. In the present matter, no validity facts as well as the clarification and inference has been made that the movie is based on the religious provocation against the Islamic sector. Since the source of the source of such release of the storyline in the social media has not been revealing the fact, such reveal of the storyline has not been made by any person with regard to the movie makers as well as the actors, that has to be taken into consideration for all this. And the doctors additionally, the council on behalf of the Lord and Council have argued on the right of the commercialization of vouchers. The doctors, the right to trade transaction has been guaranteed under Article 19 plus 1 subclause C of the Constitution. And even though it be considered it is for commercialization as claimed by the Lord and Council, that must be the heart of sentiments of vouchers. In the mode of decision, there is no single word. In the absence of the release of the entire film, only based on the storyline of the film, no one can be claimed that the particular sentiment of the commune has been heard by your vouchers. It is only based on the speculation and the illumination that there exists as part of the sentiment, which is vehemently opposed by the council on behalf of the appellate vouchers. You know, just moving further, the council have also argued the matter of jurisdiction on which the appellates have appeared into this honorable court. Since they have quoted, we have provided with the power to appear before the we have the power to appear before the High Court of Vouchers. Now the council would like to read the provision 5C of the Cinematography Act 1952, which deal with the appeal. The appeal can be made by the aggrieved party only when the board has refused to grant a certification or in granting A certification, S certification, UA certification vouchers. In the present matter, the entire film has been banned, which amounts to the violation of the fundamental right. That is the reason why we have appeared before this Honorable Supreme Court under Article 136 of the Constitution about this. And the vouchers additionally, the section 6 of the Act deals with the divisional power of the central government, which means the Lord Councils of the Respondents, they themselves can form any kind of advisory committee as under the rule and guidelines issued in the year 2024, or under the exercise of the power under section 6, they can review the movie rather than approaching the High Court for banning the film or vouchers. And hence, here there exists a clear violation of the suppression of the power in the present article vouchers. The Lord and Council of the Respondent have found that the Shreya Singhal case. The Shreya Singhal case also imposed the test of clear and imminent danger your vouchers. In the present matter, there exists no such clear and imminent danger as per the good preposition in the absence of the release of the entire film as well as with regard to the storyline of the particular film your vouchers. Your Lordship, it is also further submitted. Your Lordship, it is also further submitted that Article 21 have been invoked by the respected council on behalf of the respondents. Your Lordship, in the present matter, Article 21, which has been guaranteed to the movie makers, has also been violated. And the particular religious matter has to be differentiated from the Suraj Kumar murder case. This is because that is only criminal. It is a criminal matter and the trial has been taken before this court. And the council have already clarified that the release of such a film based on the story would not have its detrimental effect over the media trial as claimed by the appellate doctors. The council is only 30 seconds to conclude the evidence. Much of the Lordships, and hence, in the present matter, the council would like to stress that the burden of the proof relies upon the learned counsel of the respondent. This is because they are claiming that the release of the film violates the Kerala stories, Udaipur films, films of Hamase Bara, all these films are certain examples on which the release of the films has been mandated before this honorable court of lordships. The council now would like to conclude the evidence that the entire arguments made by the learned and counsel of the respondent were based on mere speculation with no concrete evidentiary value on the facts as well as the clarification, and it is only based on the presumption, and some arguments would be baseless and would not be tenable before this honorable court of lordships. With this, the council now concludes the objection. In the explanation. The particular section has been invoked by the learned and counsel of the respondent. They have stated during their argument at once that we might have approached before this court or before the high court under as an appeal, but this particular section will not apply in the present matter of the appeal. That is what has been clarified by the counsel of the letter. Much obliged, Lordship. It gives an immense pleasure or you do this honorable.
Council seeks permission to approach the case. Your Lordship, the whole argument made by the learned appellate counsel was not constitutionally unsound, Your Lordship, because they are only concerned about the individual artistic right. We are concerned about larger public interest, Your Lordship. The release of movie cannot be weaponized because they are not to the fact daily, Your Lordship. The communal protest has already started. It is the stage that at any time it can go out of that. A judiciary cannot be mere spectator and watch those things. But if the communal violence has started, then what will be the impact of that? Based on that only, the precautionary and preventive measure that imposed has been made on the film. And similarly, Your Lordship, they are saying that the film is not based on real incident, only inspired by real incident. What is the difference between both, Your Lordship? A film based on real incident or inspired by real incident. Only the inspiration film will have more potential, Your Lordship, because it's not going to show exactly what has happened. They are only going to manipulate in a way that will only trigger the communal violence, because it is a fiction and it's a dramatization based on real incident. Rather, and they want to segregate the whole issue from a communal perspective, Lordship, because the murder itself happened because of a communal police that happened 2 years before. And the state somehow ensured all the measures under their force to stop the communal violence, and now they have created a situation where everybody is living in a harmonious in their lives. Now they are again going to trigger the same incident by completely remaking the film, and that too not in a true sense, Your Lordship, in a way that will going to impact in a negative way, Your Lordship. That is based on this apparent, it is not a mere apprehension, Your Lordship. A threat is underlying. To prevent that only, we have imposed the ban on the movie, Your Lordship. We cannot play with the lives of people, Your Lordship. And similarly, Your Lordship, as they say, we are making accusation based only on story and we are not watching the whole movie, Your Lordship. A story in itself, that's what I contended. Why making a story like, or making a story that shows depicts a particular religion as a villain, Your Lordship. That's what I'm saying. This is against their religious rights, Your Lordship, and their patronal rights. Time and again we are making and portraying them in a way that stigmatizes entirely the community, Your Lordship. That's what we are pushing. It is against the fundamental rights and the constitutional mandate of the Lordship. And similarly, Your Lordship, they said under small Kathika they have filed appeal, Your Lordship. But under R 21 regarding the jurisdiction, Lordship, R 21 rule 3 Supreme Court on the 136 they get the petition has been valid, Your Lordship. So there is no need to file under that clause, Your Lordship. And similarly, they quoted the Shreyas in that case and stated that there is no clear, but there is clear and imminent danger only we can impose. They are deviating, they are negating from the fact that there is no clear and imminent danger, Lordship. Your Lordship, the clear and imminent danger is the expression of the movie itself has the potential to trigger a comment. Whenever a danger is proximate and it excess with the expression of speech, the freedom of speech can be protected. That is what we will under the clear and imminent danger, Lordship. By applying that test, we can conclude that there is a clear and imminent danger present in the case, and that is why the movie has been banned, Lordship. And similarly, Lordship, they quoted that draft security, Lordship. Draft security is a body which will only have detect whether information is paid or not based on the information is clear, Lordship. That doesn't conclude that draft security every time will give a correct decision, Lordship. They also made here, and in the era of social media, the potential is they can reach any in a very faster way, and the situation will flare up in a seconds, Lordship.
and we cannot at the time control it. So it is a preventive measure we could control it in the very starting stage itself, because here we are dealing with a communal issue. It is not an individual issue or not a particular matter. The whole matter is based on a communal tension. And similarly, Lordship, the CPLC has been given the certain rates on the movie, Lordship. That doesn't stop pollution. That's what the learned Respondent has already submitted. Therefore, it is most humbly submitted that the whole contention arguments made by the learned by the appellate council is based on abstract arguments, and nowhere they are used the word speculation, Lordship. They are saying that the arguments is full of speculation. Are they denying the imminent danger of communal violence here? Whether they can assure the movie which will be released will not have any communal tensions, and it is Lordship, they are the one who offers this argument, and it is their duty to prove that the movie will not incite communal violence. They should have to prove it. The movie, the release of trailer itself has incited a larger communal unrest, Lordship. I'm sorry.
Plain story.
No, Lordship.
Social media question. The Central Board of Certifications Committee report is not the conclusion by the Central Board of Certification.
That's what
How do you come to the conclusion that large public is affected?
that's why the council submitted data regarding the community Lordship, because we have a past experience and decades of cinema where we continuously portray making movies only on this basis Lordship. Why alternate are making a movie which is going to trigger communal violence Lordship? Because already the community is facing immense pressure Lordship. They are using an extremely machine. They are also equal citizens of this country. Their patriotism cannot be portrayed. Why? Extremism is in all religions. Extremism is perpetrated extremism. When you are portraying this, fully making a documentary film, that is different Lordship. Because that you show only who is the better water. Now we are going to dramatize the film and make a fiction. That we will be showing the entire Jewish identity, their way of living, their rituals, their practices, and everything. The viewer of audience, the person who is sitting in the theater watching the film, will have active influence over the film. It will have any emotional Lordship. What kind of influence it will have on you? That's what we fear Lordship. The movie cannot be equated with other form of expressions. The paper published or book published will have an intellectual engagement. Young people are not going to read it. Whereas the movie, unlike the other way of expression, will have a greater reach. Lordship, yes, Lordship, we are well aware of that. That is the reason one side we are making all the possible efforts to curb the protest. At the same time, we are also trying to stop the movie. We have to strike a balance, Lordship. We have to balance. We are saying that release of movie has this much immense impact. Social consequences will be caused because of the release of the movie. At that time, we have to look upon that. What are all the things we are going to sacrifice, Lordship? We are living in a diverse country. That again and again, that's what I'm saying. The entire community has actually portrayed as a negativity. That is the problem with this film, Lordship. That's what they're saying. For your commercial profit, when you are making a movie that instigates or goes against the principles and values of the another religion, who is not country, Lordship. That's all.
சேரை போட்டு உட்காந்துக்க வேண்டியதானடா நீங்க நின்றுட்டே இருக்கிறீங்க அதை வச்சுட்டு சும்மா தான் நிக்கிறீங்க
ஜூம் பண்ணுங்க ரிமோட் பண்ணுங்க என்னமோ சொன்னாரு இன்னும் சார்